My name is Brittany. A little thing I love about the egg white grill is the toasty English muffin. It's toasted perfectly. It's just a little crispy, but not like hard crispy, but just crispy enough that when you bite into it, everything is perfect.
We're inside McGurk Arena for some gymnastics tonight, a rivalry in the state of Michigan. It's Eastern Michigan against Central Michigan. Thanks for joining us in Mount Pleasant on ESPN as the Chippewas and Eagles get set to battle one another in the Mid-American Conference on this Friday evening in the middle of February. Adam Jackson alongside Jordan Charette. Happy to be here. Jordan, let's start with Central Michigan. It's been over a month since the Chippewas were home, but they've been competing very well as they come in. They're 9-1 on the season and 2-0 in Mid-American Conference duels.
Absolutely, and they're looking to defend their regular season undefeated title and make that 3-0 tonight.
Chippewas hosting the Eagles in the annual Pink Meet to support cancer awareness as the two teams get warmed up. As for Eastern Michigan, they come in 4-5 and 2-1. Here's a look at the Chippewas starting lineup as they're getting warmed up on the vaults. And we've got some changes in the lineup for Central Michigan. Won't see a couple of the regulars. Sydney Williams and Gianna Plaxa sometimes has been a vaulter this year. Those two will not be in action, at least in the vaults.
Nope, they are trying out some different lineups tonight, resting some girls, and we will see how they do, and they're more than ready to be in those positions.
So the Chippewas will start on the vault. Eastern Michigan coming over. They will get warmed up and are getting warmed up right now on the uneven bars. As you took a look at the Eagles lineup, each of these teams has had success over the last few years. Central Michigan, the regular season and MAC tournament champs last year. Eastern Michigan, the champions, both the regular season and the tournament the year before. So the MAC title has come from one of these two teams. That's what makes this such an important meet tonight.
It's a big matchup tonight. Central and Eastern both notoriously have been near the top of the MAC standings for the last about 4 or 5 years now.
And the Chippewas coming off a huge win at Kent State. You talk about Kent State, Central Michigan. Those are the two premier programs in this conference. And the Chippewas able to get a win at the MAC Center last week has to give them a ton of confidence coming into tonight.
Absolutely. It was a narrow win, but definitely a confidence booster nonetheless.
Help the Chippewas as they've won 3 straight and hoping to make it 4 in a row here. Take a look at the coaches. Katie Minnesola in her second season leading Eastern Michigan. And she comes over after spending 6 years at Iowa State. She was at Michigan State before that. And she also competed for Central Michigan. She won a MAC championship in 2003 for Jerry Reigard. So she's very familiar with this Central Michigan program and has competed for that man right there. Jerry Reigard in his 35th season as the Central Michigan head coach. And what can you say about him, Jordan? He has been fantastic. 16 MAC championships, 8 regular season MAC titles, and they did it all again last year, winning the regular season and the tournament championship.
An impressive resume behind him, absolutely. They are looking to carry that legacy this year, winning both regular season and the MAC tournament.
Well, he's anxiously waiting to see what his performers can do tonight. We're about a minute out as the touch warm-up's going on right now. You see the Eagles warming up on the uneven bars. The Chippewas getting set on the vault. Jordan, what are your thoughts on that lineup for Central Michigan on the vault? As we mentioned, a little bit different than what the Chippewas are accustomed to sending out there, but those are the 6 it looks like they're going to ride in: Tong, Zeller, Fettinger, Johnson, DeMarinis, and Pedrick.
Yeah, they're substituting some girls tonight in this vault lineup, but I think that all 6 girls are ready. You know, Abby has not been a consistency in the lineup, but she has been exhibitioning pretty consistently each meet. So I have no concerns for the vault lineup tonight.
And that was the plan tonight, was to have the senior from Flowery Branch, Georgia, Abby Rose Zeller, compete in an exhibition, but have to be ready to go.
And that's exactly why you have that depth in each lineup. You want that exhibition person to be ready and on call at any minute.
And that's something that Coach Rygaard has mentioned this season. Although they lost multiple seniors, he feels like they are very deep in certain spots. About ready to get going as the crowd looks on, ready for this one to start between Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan. Morgan Tong, the freshman, will get us going for the Chippewas.
Morgan does a Yurchenko layout half. Just a step forward on that. Slight deduction, but a great start for the Chippewas.
Jerry Rygaard happy with the way that Morgan is developing this season, a true freshman. Definitely difficult to come into a prestigious program like CMU, but Coach Rygaard mentioned he's very happy with the way that she has continued to compete this season as she gets this meet started.
Here we get a look at Abby Rose Zeller in the second spot for the vault lineup tonight. She does a similar vault to Morgan. She just adds another half twist onto that. So she does a Yurchenko layout full, which is what you'll be seeing from most of the Chippewas tonight.
And Coach Rygaard mentioned she had really high expectations when she came in. He said she is starting to live up to those high expectations and producing at her best in her final season.
Yes, unfortunately, Abby Rose is one of those athletes that's just been plagued with so many injuries over the years, and it's so great to see her finally in her senior season just coming into her own and breaking into multiple lineups.
This is Callie Harden for Eastern Michigan, leading off on the uneven bars as she gets ready to swing through.
She unfortunately had a pretty big mistake at the beginning of the routine, falling over on that handstand, but she is able to pull it out and sticks the dismount.
So here's Abby Rose Zeller, the senior for Central Michigan. Thrust into the lineup. We'll see what she can produce on the vault.
She goes Yurchenko layout full. Chest pretty low and she has to step forward, but what she did a great job was she kept her body line straight throughout the entire vault, which is something that the judges are looking for.
What kind of deduction can you expect with that chest being a little bit lower than normal?
I would expect that to be about a 2/10 deduction between the chest down and the step, maybe 2.5 tenths.
And the Eagles getting set for their second rotation here as we are in the first rotation between Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan. Each coming in top 50 in the country in the regional qualifying scores so far. Eastern Michigan 45th, Central Michigan 36th. See Coach Rygaard already over talking with the judges, checking out scores. Only a couple of routines in. Nora Fettinger is set to go next for Central Michigan, followed by Kennedy Ray Johnson, Sierra DeMarinis, and Danelle Pedrick, who's coming off a MAC Gymnast of the Week award, her third straight. As again, the Chippewas went down to Kent State, picked up a big win. Here we go back to the uneven bars.
Unfortunately, she almost slipped off on that release move. I was just about to comment on how well she did reaching out to catch that, and then she missed her kip up to the bar. And they are looking to count this score since they just had a fall just before.
That's Jada Rondeau, a sophomore from Minnesota. expected to compete all around tonight for the Eagles, as she typically does.
This is sophomore Nora Fettinger. She is also going to do your Yurchenko layout full, just as Abby Rose did. Very nicely done. Just a step back, small deduction. Great way to carry the momentum.
Sophomore, one of the hardest workers on this Chippewa team, earning that spot in the vault lineup. You can tell Jerry Rygard locked in as always. He talked about how worried he was about this meet. You win a big one against Kent State like the Chippewas did last week. He mentioned don't want to let down, want to keep going. Every meet is just as important when you're chasing that MAC regular season championship, especially the one right after a big win. He wanted them to move forward and look to this meet tonight and not overlook the Eagles, who have been, as we mentioned, very good over the last few years.
Yeah, Jerry's thing is very much never be settled. Never settle for where you're at, and there's always room to improve. So that's definitely what he's looking to do tonight.
So far, the Chippewas with a 9.725 from the freshman Morgan Tong. Abby Rose Zeller with a 9.575. The two scores up. As mentioned, Sydney Audette had a little slip up on her first rotation on the bars, an 8.9, the only score up there for Eastern Michigan. That is Sydney Williams right there, normally in the vault rotation for the Chippewas, but not competing tonight. A lot of dead time early on, so the gymnasts enjoying the music here in the arena.
We've had some discrepancies in the scores across both events. They're figuring those things out before they're letting the next athlete compete.
That's the tough part, right? You remember this, having to wait around.
Yes, the waiting game is the worst part.
Tough to keep that energy up and stay locked in when you're waiting for the judges, but got to find a way to do it. Looks like we've got a 9-3, the score flashed on that second routine from Clark for Eastern Michigan. This is the senior Megan Holtgren up on the uneven bars for Eastern Michigan.
She goes up to the high bar. And her dismount is going to be a giant full into a double back. Pretty common dismount that we'll see throughout tonight. Nice way to kind of kickstart things for Eastern. They've had a couple slip-ups so far, so they really want to pick up the momentum. Here goes Kennedy Ray Johnson. She's also going to do Yurchenko layout full. Nice job, just a small hop backwards.
So Kennedy Ray Johnson, sophomore from Cordova, Tennessee. Just one more look at that vault.
You can see her chest is nice and tall when she lands. Just a small hop backwards, that's about a 1/2 or so.
Nora Fettinger's score right now up on the board, a 9.7. Best score for CMU, 9.725 from their leadoff freshman, Morgan Tong. Here's Emily Dobronics, the junior from Illinois.
She does a cow hop pirouette into a Tkachev. Down to the low bar with a bail to handstand. Just a little bit of form break throughout this routine so far, but otherwise solid on her releases and her catches. Just the dismount left. It's going to be a double layout Brings that out pretty far. She has to bend her knees and hop forward just a little bit, but a nice way to carry the momentum for them tonight.
She's coming off a career high in that Western Michigan meet that the Eagles just won down in Ypsilanti last week. As you can see, she holds that landing. She's had a 9.875 on the balance beam last week.
Here goes Sierra Demarinis. Yurchenko layout full, small hop backwards. Pretty comparable to what we just saw from Kennedy Ray Johnson.
Well, Kennedy Ray Johnson just picked up the best score for Central Michigan, a 9.775. So another good score, it looks like, coming for the true freshman, Sierra Demarinis. So this is Jada Rondo getting set to go for Eastern Michigan. We've seen Sydney Audit, Carly Clark, Megan Holtgren, and Emily Dobronics just finished up. Jada Rondo, the sophomore, typically an all-arounder for the Eagles. And a breakout season last year as a true freshman. Here she is up on the bars.
Kip cast a handstand, blind half, right into a straddle Jaeger. Very clean. And she holds that handstand, something that the judges are looking for on this event. Marking your handstands and getting all the way up to that vertical position. Up to the high bar. There she goes again with a nice vertical handstand. Just a dismount left, and it's a double layout. Looked like it was going to be good, and her knees just buckled a little bit, but that was really the only major deduction that I could see in that routine. So very nice routine for them.
Danelle Pedrick will finish it off on the vault for Central Michigan. Jordan, what does she have to offer?
She, I believe, will be doing her Yurchenko layout full. Oh, she pulls out the double full today. First time this season, Danelle has been competing this vault for the last 2 years in her freshman and her sophomore season. Has not competed it yet today and pulled it out for the EMU meet. Very powerful, incredibly difficult vault. You can see her shoulders turn just a little early on the table, but she's able to get that around and pull out a nice landing.
What's the difference between what she did and what she has been doing this season?
She's adding an entire full twist onto her vault. So this whole season, she's been doing Yurchenko layout full, which is what a majority of the girls in the lineup today have done. And she added another full twist into that. So very difficult. Comparable with what girls on the elite scene are doing. So girls that you would see competing at an international level.
Interested to see what her score is. Nice looking vault for the junior standout, Danelle Pedrick.
We just saw a very nice Ginger right into a bail connection. Just the dismount left, another double layout. Step forward on the landing, but a nice routine.
Courtney Beazold, sophomore from Mainville, Ohio. Again, here's a look at her routine one more time. A little bit of a tough start for Eastern Michigan on the bars, but they finished pretty strong on their opening rotation. You can see Coach Minnesota looking on in the background of that routine. She remembers those bars very well. Had a couple of perfect 10s when she was here in 2003 as a gymnast under Jerry Reigard, helped her win a MAC championship. Danelle Pedrick score up on the board. She's got the best one at the vault, a 9.8. Jordan, you mentioned it, adding a little bit more difficult move to her vault, and it paid off with a big score.
And she goes giant half into a Tkachev. Couldn't quite hang on to that release move.
Eastern Michigan with a couple of 9.675s on the bars from Dobronics and Holtgren.
She's going to jump up on the high bar and just finish her routine. Giant full double back. Shoots a double back out pretty far. Is not able to keep it on her feet.
And that score won't count. That was an exhibition for Eastern Michigan. The best score comes from Beazold, the anchor, a 9.775. The two anchors for both Eastern and Central Michigan producing the best scores as we finish up that opening rotation. A 9.8 for Danelle Pedrick, giving the Chippewas a 48.75. And Eastern Michigan, Courtney Beazold, a 9.775 and a 48.05 for the Eagles. What'd you think of that first rotation for both Central and Eastern? We'll get your thoughts when we come back. Rotation 2 from McGurk coming up next. Stay with us.
My name is Brittany. A little thing I love about the egg white grill is the toasty English muffin. It's toasted perfectly. It's just a little crispy, but not like hard crispy, but just crispy enough that when you bite into it, everything is perfect.
Sweat, dedication, cupcakes.
We played football together for the Titans.
Now we own a cupcake shop. I love this new Surface Pro. It's light, it's sleek, it's fast. Cupcakes are a great business.
As long as you don't eat the profits.
Getting ready for the second rotation in McGurk Arena. Thanks for joining us. Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan battling in the Mid-American Conference. Chippewas coming in 2-0, the only remaining unbeaten team in conference duels. Eastern Michigan 2-1 through one rotation. Central Michigan with the lead, 48.75 to the 48.05 of Eastern Michigan. Let's start with Central first. Jordan, what'd you think of the Chippewas on the vault to begin this meet?
A solid start for the Chippewas on the vault. 48.75 is right around where they've been for so far this season. I know they're looking to really increase that up into the 49 range, but a solid start for them.
Chippewas taking the lead early. They've won 3 straight. As for Eastern Michigan, kind of talked about it, looked a little uneasy at the beginning of their rotation, but able to finish strong, and they get that 48.05. As you take a look at the rotation here coming up for Central Michigan on the uneven bars. Chippewas will have Zeller, Johnson, Miller, Porter, Pedrick, and Plaxa. And Sierra DeMarinis going to exhibition for the Chippewas. As for Eastern Michigan, they get warmed up over on the vault. Hardin, Rondeau, Gresham, Dobronics, Holtgren, Smith, and Kasanovic are expected to compete here for Eastern Michigan. So we got about 30 seconds left before they get going. Again, the Chippewas trying to stay perfect in the conference. Their first home meet in quite some time, January 11th. You have to go back. The last time CMU was in McGurk, and that was against Illinois State. That's still their best score of the season, 195.275 against the Redbirds. So looking to duplicate that home performance with another big one tonight on this Friday evening in Mount Pleasant. Well, we're just about set to go here. Rotation 2 between the Eagles and Chippewas as they switch. Eagles to the vault, Central Michigan to the bars. So Central Michigan will be led off by Abby Rose Zeller. She stepped in normally in exhibition on vaults. She stepped in though to the lineup tonight. Now typically she will compete on bars. What can we expect from her as she gets ready for her rotation here, Jordan?
Abby's known for her clean form throughout all of her routines. So I think we can look to see a lot of clean gymnastics from her tonight.
Abby Rose Zeller talking with Coach Rygaard before she gets going. The Eagles on the vault.
That was a piked hand front. Pretty big hop forward that will be a significant deduction, but a nice powerful way to start off the lineup for them.
That's the sophomore out of Saline, Callie Hardin, to get going. Here is Abby Rose Zeller.
Abby is going to mount the bar and begin with a giant full right into a Tkachev for her release move. And down to the low bar with her bail just shy of handstand there. Just the dismount. Abby Rose is going to do a tucked full in dismount. Pulls a little close to the bar, but is able to pull off the stuck landing.
You can see the fist pump from Jerry Rygard and the high five to his senior, impressed with her performance. Big hug from Casey Janowitz. Nice job there for Abby Roseller, the senior. Continuing to have one of her best years in Mount Pleasant. We go back over to the vaults. Jada Rondeau is set to go for the Eagles. She's coming off a career-high performance in the all-around against Western Michigan, a 39.2 last week.
She does a Yurchenko layout full. Chest just a little low. She has to step forward. Will be a small deduction, but a great vault. Get a second look at that vault. You can see the pike in her hips as well to help her get that rotation around.
Often moving, here's Kennedy Ray Johnson.
Up to the high bar. Her release move is a giant full into a Ginger. Down to the low bar with her bail to handstand. Just the dismount left. She's going to do the same dismount that Abby Rose just did, a tucked full in. Small hop forward, nice solid routine for the Chippewas.
That's something that they've really been working on her, the landings in her rotations. And again, you could see the excitement from Coach Rygard. Like the finish there from Kennedy Ray Johnson. She's another one with some of the Chippewas not competing today. Was expected to go on vault, but added into the bars rotation, stepping in nicely in that second spot. This is Sierra Gresham, first time we get a peek at her, the senior out of Illinois.
Yurchenko layout full, very nicely done. She gets great distance from the vault, keeps her hips flat throughout, and just a small hop backwards.
Great to see her competing healthy. She's coming back from a knee injury that she suffered last year, but continuing to get stronger from that injury. And as you can see, putting in a great performance right there on the vaults. Nice job by Sierra Gresham.
Here's senior Kaylee Miller on the uneven bars. Unfortunately, she misses her hand on her mount and doesn't quite make it up to the high bar.
Tough start for her right off the get-go.
It is always tough to battle back after a big mistake in the first element of your routine. You have to start back over from scratch as if it never happened.
Coach Rygard trying to give her some encouraging words as she'll try and brave the mishap and get up and finish, go through her routine.
Nice handstand. She's going to go blind half into a straddle Jaeger. Right down to the low bar with a bail to handstand. Kaylee is going to be the third gymnast in this lineup to do a tucked full in dismount. A nice routine following that mistake, and that's exactly what you want to see out of an athlete that makes a mistake right off the get-go. They get up there like it never happened, and they fight for every 10th.
She's normally the leadoff on bars. I mean, how much does it affect your mentality when you come in third and you typically are leading off the lineup?
It could affect your mentality, but I think it all has to do with, you know, how you process it.
Sure.
Ideally, it wouldn't. You know, you should be ready to go kind of whenever they throw you in.
That was Emily Dobronics. Here's one more look at the vault from the Eagle.
Another Yurchenko layout full. So you can see she's a little off balance there. They will take a couple deductions for those steps that she's taking backwards.
Dobronics named a captain this week for Eastern Michigan. They don't have captains this year. They rotate every week. Whoever they felt like was the best leader and demonstrator and performer the week before. And Katie Minnesota, the second-year head coach, gave Emily Dobronics the honor this week as she's the captain for the Eagles in this meet. Expected to compete all around today for Eastern Michigan. As we're in the second rotation, Chippewas had the lead after the first rotation, a 48.75 on the vault. As they continue on the uneven bars, this is Haley Porter.
Haley's going to do a blind full into a ginger. A little close to the bar. You can see her feet separate just a little bit when she catches that release move. Very clean bail to handstand. And as the fourth gymnast up, she is also going to do a tucked full in for her dismount. A little bit low on that landing, just a small hop forward, but a great way to come back after the mistake from Kaylee. Another look at that dismount. What's interesting about her is that she really flattens her body at the top of that dismount, and that is able to get her a lot of amplitude, sets her apart.
A couple of 9.775s for Johnson and Zeller, the leaders right now for CMU, for the first three on the bars. Megan Holtgren.
Yurchenko layout half. Nice landing. It almost looked like she was going to step backwards or sit that down, but she's able to pull off a nice landing.
Like she had a magnet on the mat there. Fantastic finish right there for Megan Holtgren. Senior competed on the bars. We'll see her on the beam as well.
Here goes junior Danelle Pedrick. Mounts the bar, is going to do a very big Tkachev release move, is not able to hold on to that. Unfortunately, it looks like we may be having to either count her score or Kaylee, who received a 9.225.
So the second fall we've seen from Central Michigan on the uneven bars. And Jordan, the uneven bars are typically the best rotation for Central Michigan. They came in ranked 29th in the bars, averaging a 48, or their highest of 48.8. And they've struggled so far today.
Yeah, uneven bars usually a strong suit for CMU this year.
It shows you this is not easy. It's hard to be consistent and so good every rotation, every night.
Just a dismount left for Danelle. She's going to change it up, and she's actually going to put her toes on the bar, step down, and do a front flip with a half twist off. Is able to pull off the stuck landing. Again, exactly what you want to see out of the athlete. Somebody who fights for everything, even after they've made a mistake.
Really nice finish for Danelle Pedrick, the reigning MAC Gymnast of the Week, her third time winning that award after having her best all-around score of the year at Kent, 39.275. So take a hit on that score. Allison Smith.
Yurchenko 1.5. Believe that was in the tuck position. The camera kind of cut her out there, but I saw her in warm-up do a Yurchenko tucked 1.5, which does start from a 10.0.
And she's the only one for Eastern Michigan that vaults starting from a 10.0. So a little bit more difficult of a routine for her. The junior from Telford, Pennsylvania. We'll see what her score is. So here's our first look at Gianna Plaxa, having the terrific year last season, the 2018 MAC all-around champ.
Gianna's going to mount the high bar. Blind half into a straddle Jaeger. And she's going to go down to the low bar with a bail to handstand. Just the dismount left. Gianna also does a very different dismount. She's going to go blind half into a double front. Nicely done. Very great way to cap off that lineup.
They needed that. Couple of falls in the lineup. And you go to your senior captain to come through in a big way. And Gianna Plaxa looking good in her first event of the night on the uneven bars. This is the freshman, Carly Kasanovic, one of 4 true freshmen competing this year for the Eagles.
Carly's going to do a hand front pike. Unfortunately, is not able to keep that on her feet. EMU will not have to count that score, though. She was in the exhibition position.
It'll be Holtgren with the best score, a 9.775 for Eastern Michigan in their vaults, giving them a 48.475.
Here's our first look at freshman Sierra DeMarinis on the uneven bars. She's going to do a blind half into a straddle Jaeger. Down to the low bar with a bail to handstand. A little bit of form break there when she caught the bar. Just the dismount left. It's going to be a blind half into a double front dismount. The same dismount we saw from Gianna. Unfortunately, is not able to keep it on her feet.
And that wraps up the second rotation. Still a few scores not up on the board for Central Michigan, so they're still compiling those right now. We do have the scores for Eastern Michigan. Again, a 9.775 from Holtgren, the best score, followed by a couple of 9.725s from Gresham and Smith to give Eastern Michigan a 48.475, their best score so far after getting the 48.05 on the bars. But Eastern Michigan with a nice second rotation to bring their score up.
Yeah, both teams with just a couple hiccups on the uneven bars. So I think this meet is all going to come down to how these teams handle the setbacks that they had in the early events. You got to move on and just kind of continue as if it never happened.
Still a long way to go, kind of the halfway point right now. 2 rotations in. We'll get you those Central Michigan scores when we come back. Again, still being compiled right now. But each team has competed up on the uneven bars and the vaults. Got the balance beam coming up next for Central Michigan and the floor rotation for the Eagles when we come back as we continue on in this MAC duel in Mount Pleasant.
Kick off the new year with a new iPhone included from T-Mobile. The amazing iPhone XR is perfect for all those New Year, New You selfies. And only T-Mobile has unlimited with iPhone XR included for just $40. So get the iPhone you love most from the most loved in wireless. Bring your family to T-Mobile and get the amazing iPhone XR included for just $40 per line.
Alexa, dim the lights.
Okay.
Oh, no. Dad, I need your help.
What have you done?
Burnt the duck.
That's a duck? What do you have in that cabinet?
Some spaghetti.
Okay, chop up some garlic. Your mom cooked duck for me once.
Did she burn it?
Of course she did.
Of course she did.
Now it's beautiful. There you go.
How do I look?
Perfect.
Thanks, Dad.
What's his name?
Dad. Alexa, hang up.
Back inside McGurk Arena on ESPN. Adam Jackson, Jordan Charette with you, watching Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan compete in this Mid-American Conference duel. So far, the Chippewas through 2 rotations, 97.125. They lead, but Jordan had a couple of falls on the uneven bars. It was helped by Gianna Plaxa. She finished the rotation with a 9.825, but a little bit of a lower score with a 48.375 for the Chippewas than what they're accustomed to on the bars.
Unfortunately, they did have to count a fall on the uneven bars. fall from Kaylee Miller and a fall from Donnell Pedrick. Not characteristic of either of those athletes, just kind of a fluke mistake, but they are looking to kind of start over with a clean slate on the balance beam.
In the meantime, that gave Eastern Michigan an opportunity to gain some ground, a 48.475. Still trailing with a 96.525, but the Eagles picking it up on that second rotation.
Eastern Michigan had a lot of scores within the 9-6, 9-5 range, which is not exactly what they were looking for, but they kept all of their vaults on their feet, which is the momentum that they need to carry into the floor.
Megan Holtgren, the best score, a 9.775. Macy Hilliker, one of the senior captains, ready to get started up on the balance beam.
Macy does a unique mount. She's going to do a press handstand. Takes a lot of strength and control. Something that you don't often see in the NCAA. Kind of more common when you're younger, but she was able to maintain that skill. It sets her apart.
Looking for a little bit of a bounce back on the beam after her rotation at Kent State. Fortunately fell at the MAC Center. So hoping for a good score to lead off tonight.
There's a small wobble on her series. Up next, so she's going to go for a cat leap into a switch half. She's going to do a side aerial. Macy's very good about bringing herself to center on all of her skills. Even if they're a little bit off, she maintains her head over the beam. Just a dismount, front layout full, kind of shuffles those feet, but fights for the landing.
So a strong start to the rotation for Central Michigan, led by the senior from Bay City, Macy Hilliker. Quite the story, coming back for her 5th season after tearing the Achilles. A few meets in to what she thought was going to be her last season. Swing it over onto the floor for Eastern Michigan. This is Allison Smith.
Allison's first pass is a double back.
Second year competing for the junior. Earned a scholarship earlier this season, walked onto the team last year, competed in every meet, and earned that scholarship from Katy, Minnesota.
She goes for her second pass. 1.5 to a punch front layout. Looked a little bit low on that front salto, but is able to pull off the landing. Just the last pass left for Allison. And it's going to be a front handspring into a Rudy split jump. She adds that jump to cover up any landing deductions that she might have on that pass. Very smart move. Great lead off for the Eagles.
So a couple of good scores from both Eastern and Central. Start off their third rotation. That was the junior Allie Smith from Pennsylvania. Back to balance beam, this is Haley Porter.
She goes for her series, gonna be a back handspring, layout, step out. Just as we saw from Macy. For her leap combination, switch leap into a straddle quarter. A little bit of delay on that connection, but it did look like she was able to keep her body moving. This connection is going to be a cat leap. She was supposed to connect an aerial to that, but was a little bit off, so she's going to dance herself back to position and try again. Cat leap into a side aerial. And a smart move for her. Just the dismount left for Haley. And it's going to be a gainer pike off the end. Stock landing, something that she's very good at on this event is she always sticks that dismount, something that you can count on her for.
They were really happy with her routines last week against Kent State, both on the bars and the beam. She's got another great one here on the balance beam. Haley Porter, the junior from Nebraska, coming through for the Chippewas. A couple of hit routines to start this third rotation. This is Shannon Gregory. First time we'll see her tonight. True freshman from New Jersey.
Shannon's first pass is going to be a tuck full in. Very difficult. Here she goes for her second pass. Round off, 1.5 into a front layout. Showing great control there on the landing.
As with any freshman, they've said just trying to continue working on that confidence as she goes through the ups and downs of that first year at the collegiate level of gymnastics. Much different than competing at John P. Stevens High School where she came up through.
Just the last pass left. It's going to be a double back. Looked like she kind of buckled those ankles, but is able to pull it back. Very difficult routine.
Pretty well done for a true freshman. That's Shannon Gregory, the New Jersey native. Eagles getting a 9-7 from Allie Smith to lead off the floor rotation. Here's that second pass once again.
Something she does really well in that pass is her second flip rises, and that's something that the judges are looking for in that kind of a two salto pass.
So we go from one freshman on the floor for Eastern Michigan to another freshman on the balance beam for the Chippewas, Sierra DeMarinis.
Sierra broke into this lineup just a few meets ago. Has had a couple successful appearances thus far. She goes for her series. It's going to be a back handspring layout step out. A solid landing. Leap combination is a switch split half into a beat jump. Cat leap into a front aerial. Looking very poised up on the balance beam. Just a dismount. Round off, 1.5 into a stuck landing. Exactly what you were looking for out of her. Great way to make her balance beam debut in McGurk Arena.
That's a rotation and a routine that freshman won't forget for a while.
You can see
First
that
time.
the nice rise off the balance beam just puts her in perfect position to get that stuck landing.
And they weren't sure if she was going to compete in the balance beam rotation coming into today, but she certainly was ready and capable. Great score coming up for Sierra DeMarinis, the true freshman. This is Sierra Gresham, the senior.
We saw Sierra on the vault already. Very powerful athlete. Begins her routine with a double pike.
Coach Minnesota said she loves watching Sierra on the floor because that personality just continues to grow and grow as her senior season goes on.
She goes for her second pass. Front layout into a front full. Just a little bit of form break there on that first element. Couple of bent knees. Just the last pass left for Sierra. And it's going to be a double back. Unfortunately, couldn't quite control all that power. I think it was a combination of some buckled knees and a little bit too much power.
So not the score she'll be looking for, but Eagles will try and pick her up as this rotation continues. Sattler, Rondeau, Dobronics. The next three.
There's another freshman on the balance beam for Central Michigan. Morgan Tong with that press handstand mount. Kind of like we saw from Macy, but a little bit different in that she is facing forward on the beam, which is actually even more difficult.
3 for 3 so far for CMU on the routines. We'll see if the freshman can continue it.
Right off the bat, begins with her series, front aerial into a back handspring layout. Now, if you did notice, she shuffled her feet just a little bit in that connection. The judges may take a deduction and break that connection, which could affect the start value of her score. A solid acro element series. She goes for her full turn. Back handspring 2 foot into a 1.5 dismount. Just a small step on that landing, but another excellent routine for the Chippewas.
Back-to-back true freshmen up there on the balance beam. Putting up good scores for CMU right now, led by Macy Hilliker, who started things off for CMU on the beam, a 9.775. Haley Porter, 9.65. Sierra DeMarinis, a 9.675.
Sierra's score a little bit lower than expected. I'm thinking that they may have taken some deductions in terms of her start value, with some of her connections may have been too slow for her to have credit for them.
She had a really great routine, finish it off with a stuck landing, but as Jordan mentioned, a little bit lower score than expected. As we go back to the floor, this is Caitlin Sattler, sophomore out of Saline. Or rather, a freshman out of Illinois.
2.5 into a punch front, has too much power and cannot quite control it. Unfortunately, takes her completely off of the floor. So in addition to the deduction for the steps that she's taking, she also gets a 3/10 deduction for having both feet leave the border of the floor.
Typically up on the balance beam, but she gets the opportunity to compete in the floor rotation today.
She goes for her last pass, front handspring into a Rudy. So with Sierra Gresham having a fall just before, they are looking to count this score. Here goes junior Danelle Pedrick. Very difficult mount. She just put that in her routine this year.
Trying to come back strong here after she had a lower score on the uneven bars, falling off.
She goes for her series. It's going to be a back handspring, layout, step out. Very nicely done. Cat leap into a switch half. Solid landing. So far looking flawless. See if she can carry that through to the dismount. Round off, double twist. That's going to be a very, very big score for the Chippewas, and that's exactly what they needed.
They are looking unstoppable right now on the balance beam. 4 hit routines before the reigning MAC Gymnast of the Week, and she makes it 5 in a row. How about this finish? Incredible stuff from the junior from Saskatchewan, Danelle Pedrick. Second team All-MAC last season, a 2-time NCAA championship qualifier. She looked like it right there. She's following that up after a 9.8 for the true freshman Morgan Tong. She may top that.
And that's exactly what you want in a lineup, is to score build.
Stack them towards that anchor spot for Skylar Memel, the beam specialist, getting set to go for CMU. You can hear the fans cheering. Has to be a big score for Danelle Pedrick.
We see a 9.9 from one judge.
This is Jada Rondeau as we go back to the floor, the sophomore.
First pass is a double back. Nice controlled landing on that pass. She goes for her second pass. It's a 1.5 punch front layout.
There's the entire team doing her routine with her.
Just the last pass left. Very nice. Great routine for the Eagles.
Good finish there from Jada Rondeau, the sophomore. The Eagles trying to hang with the Chippewas, who have been terrific on the balance beam. It is official, Jordan mentioned it, a 9-9 is the score for Pedrick. So now it's Skylar Memel up on the balance beam for Central Michigan. Try and see if they can go 6 for 6 on the balance beam.
Series is going to be a back handspring, layout, step out. Skylar also looking to bounce back after an uncharacteristic performance last weekend at Kent State. She did have a fall.
Even with that fall, though, still able to come through with a 9.3, and that was the difference as the Chippewas hung on to take down Kent State. But the anchor normally comes through with a good score. Looking to get that bounce back here.
Skylar is a very consistent athlete and is able to pull off another hit tonight.
So the Chippewas, after a couple of falls over on the uneven bars, they go 6 for 6. Pretty impressive up on the balance beam. They've taken control here. Without Memel's score, they have a 48.8 right now. To their first 5 scores on the beam. There's the big hug from Jerry Rygard. Emily Dobronics will finish out the rotation for Eastern Michigan before we get to the exhibitions. Last score to count here for the Eagles. Dobronics, the junior.
First pass for Emily is going to be a pike full in. Very difficult. We saw that earlier from one of the freshmen. It's not super common that you have those difficult tumbling passes in routines, so that's an excellent thing to see to set them apart from other schools, especially in the MAC.
And that's the first time, actually, she's added in that pike full in to her routine this season. That was something they were working on, trying to get in, and she performs it right off the bat.
Just the last pass left for Emily. And it's going to be a double back. Another very difficult routine for the Eagles. Great way to cap off the floor exercise for Eastern.
You can see why they finish up with Rondeau and Dobronics. A 9-8 for Rondeau, and another good score coming for the junior Dobronics.
Another look at that very difficult first pass. 2 flips and 1 twist. Here's her last pass, the double back.
So we've got an exhibition, it looks like, coming up for Eastern Michigan still. But the Chippewas do have their score in, a 48-8 on the balance beam. Skylar Memel finished with a 9.575. Always nice when you don't have to count even a 9.575. Not the worst score in the world, but the Chippewas were just so good through those first 5. They're going to get a great score, a 48-8 on their third rotation up on the balance beam. As for Eastern Michigan, before the Dobronics score, a 47.925. But again, they had the fall from Gresham, a 9.1. No doubt Dobronics score will be better than that, so they won't have to count the fall. Here's the exhibition coming from the true freshman, Carly Kasanovic. She'll finish up our third rotation here.
Here's the first pass as a double back. Unfortunately, reaches her hands for the floor. They will count that as a fall. Rudy into a straddle jump. A little bit of form break. You can see her feet just come apart a little bit.
Great experience for a true freshman here to get an opportunity with the bright lights on in front of the fans here in Mount Pleasant to close out this third rotation.
She goes for the last pass. It's going to be a front layout, front full. Somebody I think you can look to see in that Eastern Michigan lineup later this season.
And the Eagles have their experience, but also have competed 4 true freshmen this year. Carly Kasanovic, one of them in the exhibition there, as the Eagles finish up with a 9.8 and 9.875 from Rondeau and Dobronics. Good way to finish off their floor routine. And at a 48.7. So our total scores right now through 3. CMU a 145.95. Eastern a 145.225. One more to go, but a really impressive third rotation as the Chippewas getting ready to have some fun on the floor in their last rotation here in McGurk they were dynamite up there on the balance beam, Jordan.
Yes, I think, and even if they had a couple scores that were just a little bit lower than anticipated, the fact that all 6 girls hit and that they seem to carry the momentum one off of another, a huge confidence booster going into this last event.
All right, well, one more to go. Eastern Michigan will be up on that balance beam. Central Michigan over towards the floor. We'll have the finishing rotation coming up next. Stay with us.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-woo!
Ronnie, how happy are folks who save hundreds of dollars switching to Geico? I'd say happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day!
Get happy.
Yeah!
Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Infinity. Empower the drive.
One more rotation to go here in Mount Pleasant. Thanks for joining us on ESPN. Central Michigan warming up on the floor. It'll be Eastern Michigan on the balance beam. She's Jordan Charette, former CMU gymnast. I'm Adam Jackson. Jordan, give us your thoughts so far through the first 3 rotations, what you've thought of tonight's meet.
So far, a couple hiccups on the uneven bars for both teams. Solid vault rotations and third event, big for both teams. I think that this is going to come down to the last event and who can carry the most momentum through to the end.
Well, the Chippewas are unbeaten if you're just joining us in their last 3 meets. They've won 3 straight. Central Michigan, after winning the regular season and tournament championship right here in McGurk Arena last year, off to a 9-1 start. 2-0 in conference play. A couple of fans enjoying Cotton Eye Joe, which is a staple here for the Chippewas before they get going on their final rotation on the floor. The Chippewas were so good up on the balance beam, put themselves in front. The score coming in to this final rotation, a 145.95 for CMU. 145.225 for Eastern Michigan. A couple of their veterans keeping the Eagles in it. Dobronics and Rondeau each getting over 9.8s. As you see the relaxing and final thoughts going on from the Eagles, from their second-year head coach, Katie Minnesota, knowing how important this one is, trying to take down the defending champs. So here we go, ready for the final rotation here in McGurk. We'll start with Eastern Michigan. As we go to the balance beam, it's Megan Holtgren, the all-arounder.
Press handstand mount. Did look like she was supposed to go all the way up to that handstand. Kind of came down a little early. Should not be too big of a deduction, if any.
My apologies, we didn't see her in the floor, but this is her 3rd rotation of the night. Saw her up on the vaults, or up on the bars and the vaults.
Series is going to be a back handspring layout step out. Split jump into a sheep jump. Difficult combination because with that sheep jump, you lose sight of the beam. Aerial into a layout full, and she's able to pull off the stuck dismount. Great way to start off that beam rotation.
So just as we saw hit routines for the Chippewas on the balance beam, Eastern Michigan. Nice start to the 4th rotation. Here's another look at the finish.
Great height off the beam. Out of that aerial into the full. Here's freshman Morgan Tong on the floor exercise. First pass is going to be a front tuck through to a double back. Very nice landing. Keeps her chest nice and tall. Goes for her second pass. It's going to be a round off back handspring, 1.5 into a front pike. Keeps her toes just inside that yellow line. They are able to touch the line. They are not able to exceed the line, or else it is a deduction.
She just was able to hold on there.
She goes for her last pass. It's going to be a double pike. Great routine for the freshman. I think her best this season. We could be looking at a personal best.
She nailed that. A couple of stuck landings in those 3 passes. And here's the last one right here. What a finish for the freshman.
Take a look at her landing. Very much improved.
It's a big spot for a true freshman stepping in to lead off the final rotation here in Mount Pleasant. Shannon Gregory up on the balance beam for Eastern Michigan. Coach Minnesota in the background watching on, cheering on the freshman from New Jersey.
Series was a back handspring, layout step out, just a small wobble. Nothing too significant in deduction. Dismount is a back handspring into a 1.5. Takes that step backward and will be a deduction, but a great way to carry through what they've got going on the balance beam. Another freshman for Central Michigan, Sierra Demarinis. Floor exercise being her strong suit. First pass is going to be a double back.
Shuffled things around a little bit. Demarinis was expected to go 3rd. Tong was expected to go 4th, but a little bit of a change from the coaching staff for CMU. Instead of leading off Macy Hilliker, they went with back-to-back freshmen.
She goes for her second pass. It's going to be a double pike. Chest just a little bit low. That is going to be a deduction. Just the last pass left for Sierra. It's going to be a round off, 1.5 to a front layout into a stag jump. Great way to cover up any kind of landing deductions that she would have had. And that's exactly why they put that in there.
2 pretty good performances from true freshmen to start off the floor exercise for CMU.
And take a look back at that last pass. What the judges look for in that pass is the level of their hips, and they want to see it rise in the second flip.
Morgan Tong tying a career high with the first rotation, or the first exercise to go on the floor. She got a 9.8.
Saw an illusion on the balance beam, something you don't see every day. Very difficult. Split leap into a tuck 3/4, unfortunately does not stay on the balance beam.
This is the sophomore, Bree Price. First time seeing her today, just on the balance beam.
Very nice dismount. She does a gainer front full off the end, also pretty unique. But they are looking to drop that score since she did come off the balance beam.
See the difficulties in the twist there in that dismount. Here's Abby Rose Zeller.
Floor is Abby's strong suit. She is a performer through and through. She goes for her first pass as a double back. Pretty big step backwards.
Following up a 9.8 and a 9.7 so far from a couple of freshmen in Tong and Demarinis. Chippewas have been locked in since a couple of falls on the uneven bars. And a really nice third rotation up on the balance beam, and that's seemed to set the tone so far to finish off this fourth rotation.
Just the last pass left for Abby. Something she does so well is that she just captivates the audience with every move in her floor routine. Rudy into a straddle jump. Very nicely done. Great routine for the Chippewas.
3 for 3 so far for CMU. Which again, they continue the momentum from the balance beam. They picked up a 48.8 up on the beam.
Again, looking at that hip level, it rises in the second flip.
Emily Dobronics.
Unfortunately, that is their second fall in a row. So they are going to have to count one of those scores.
Not usually going to see falls from Dobronics. She's coming off a career high on the balance beam at a 9.875 against Western Michigan, which led to a career high all-around score of up over a 39.2. But the fall there on the balance beam. All right, so here's Macy Hilliker. Again, expected to see her to begin this rotation on the floor. As you take a look one more time, Dobronics on the dismount. But she will go fourth. So here is the senior Macy Hilliker.
Macy just breaking into this floor lineup as of the last couple meets. Floor is her strong suit as well, and her favorite event. She goes for her first pass as a double back. Something interesting about Macy is that during her club gymnastics days, she also did competitive dance through the club that ran her gymnastics. So a nice pair of skills for her on the floor exercise.
She did that right down the road, grew up in Bay City, 35-40 minutes east of Mount Pleasant.
Just the last pass left for Macy. And it's going to be a double pike. Chest just a little low, but she is able to pull that off. And that is a big deal for Macy Hilliker.
Again, Macy fighting adversity. Torn Achilles last year, elected to come back after wearing a boot for nearly 12 weeks, grinding through the rehab. And she wanted to finish off her career on a high note. Didn't want to go out injured. And
her first floor routine back in McGurk Arena since the injury.
Yeah.
So very, very excellent to see that.
Cool moment for Macy Hilliker as we go back to the balance beam. Rondeau finishing, or following rather, after Emily Dobronics.
Just a little bit of a wobble on that series. Here's the dismount, round off 1.5. Very nice stuck landing. Trying to pick up the momentum there on balance beam.
Yeah, Eagles needed that after Price with a 9.275 and Dobronics a 9.1. A couple of falls up on the balance beam, so difficult up there, but Rondeau able to bring it back for the Eagles. They've got the freshman Caitlin Sattler to finish off.
Here's sophomore Nora Fettinger. Just missed her first pass, was a 2.5 punch front, just a small step backwards.
Four scores up for CMU on the floor, all 9.7s or better, topped by Abby Roseller at a 9.875. Again, her great season continues. She had an opportunity to jump into the vault lineup today for the first time. Nora Fettinger trying to keep things rolling for CMU.
Rudy for the last pass for Nora. Another solid floor routine for the Chippewas.
So Fettinger next up. Finishes up with a good routine, and we'll have one more for CMU. Danelle Pedrick, who had a terrific score up on the balance beam. 9.9 in that 5th spot. She'll go next. And some struggles here for Eastern Michigan on the balance beam. Their 3rd fall here in the final rotation.
So she was going for a series that was supposed to have 3 elements in it. She was supposed to go back handspring, layout, step out, and came off just before the 3rd element. And what she actually did was correct that mistake. Once she got up on the beam, she could not do a 3rd back handspring, or else it would have warranted further deduction. So she had to do a handstand into a layout step out, which was a smart move for her.
Caitlin Sattler, a true freshman for Eastern Michigan. She finishes off. Eastern Michigan certainly going to be displeased with that final rotation, as they have 3 falls. Not how you want to finish, but solid today for the Eagles. We'll see what their final score comes out to be. Right now it has been CMU from the start. Danelle Pedrick just had a great score. Teammates having some fun.
Getting into the routine there. She starts her routine off with a very difficult triple full.
A nice job saving that too towards the edge of the mat.
Yep, she was just a little skewed off to her left side. Something that she tries to fix on a daily basis at practice. That's her biggest challenge with that pass. Here she goes for the 2nd pass. It's gonna be a round off 1.5 to a front layout. Showing great control on the landing.
Pedrick trying to go 3 for 4. She did fall on the uneven bars, but had the best score vault-wise at a 9.8. Best score beam-wise at a 9.9 for CMU.
Double pike for the last pass. Very nicely done. Chest stayed nice and tall.
Coach Reigard says she's competing with purpose this year. That's the main difference he sees from her first couple of years, where she's had a lot of success. But, and the reigning MAC Gymnast of the Week, looking good to close this meet out. And again, CMU closing this one out the right way. 9.75 from Fettinger. And Pedrick's score should be very good as well. And CMU, again, Had some slip-ups on the bars, but they were locked in for balance beam and for the floor rotation.
Here's Megan Benzie as an exhibition for the Eagles. Unfortunately, came off the balance beam on her series.
Unable to stick up there again. It's just kind of how this final rotation has gone for Eastern Michigan. Definitely not what they want, but trying to get a strong finish here and a good dismount to close out the night.
Unfortunately, if you don't have the right mindset, those falls can get in the athletes' heads and just kind of become contagious.
And kind of a trickle-down effect, which we saw here in this final rotation. You can see a little disappointment from the Eagles, obviously, not how they wanted to finish, but we'll get the strong dismount. Coach Minnesota happy with the finish there.
There's an exhibition performance from sophomore Kennedy Ray Johnson. First pass is a double pike. Here she goes for the second pass. It's going to be a double back. Unfortunately, chest just a little too low. She's not able to keep it on her feet, so that will be a fall. Just the last pass left for Kennedy. Front layout, front full. She's able to pull it off and put it on her feet.
So a solid finish for Central Michigan. Again, that concludes this meet for CMU, and Coach Rygaard has to be excited. The Chippewas, another win, now 10-1 on the season, and still remain undefeated in the Mid-American Conference, now 3-0, a 195.05 today for the Chippewas. Saw a little slip up on the uneven bars, but again, the way that they finished, Jordan, the balance beam, they stick all 6 of those, and then they go to the floor. And another solid rotation there as they finished off with another 9-9 from Pedrick. She wins 3 of the 4 events, vault, beam, and floor, after, again, the slip-up on bars. But an impressive performance all around from CMU.
Absolutely. I think that's something to say about the mindset of this team and their ability to bounce back after a little bit of adversity and capitalize on their strong events.
Defending MAC champs regular season and tournament-wise last year, looking like tough outs again this season in 2019 as the Chippewas pick up the win over the Eagles, 195.05 as you see the final score. Eastern Michigan with the 48.25 on the beam. Definitely hurt them at the end. But CMU victorious, now 10-1 and 3-0 in the conference, while the Eagles now 4-6 and 2-2 in MAC competition. That's going to wrap up our broadcast tonight from McGurk Arena. Thanks so much for joining us. For our entire crew, my partner Jordan Charette, Adam Jacks is saying good night from Mount Pleasant.